The focus of today's webinar is what are PowerApps? We are very excited to have Hardeep and Chris Rowe, our in-house PowerApps specialist, presenting for us today. So PowerApps is a low-code, no-code platform that enables anyone to build rich web and mobile applications. To give you more information about PowerApps and its exciting details of the platform's capabilities, I will pass it off to Chris and Hardeep. Hope you enjoy the webcast.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'll just be going through an agenda to explain and demonstrate PowerApps. And it will be done by first going through an overview of what it is, the advantages of using PowerApps, the examples of different connectors, and a demo provided by Hardeep. So first, an overview of PowerApps. PowerApps is built on top of the common data model. The name sounds intuitive, but I will briefly share what it means for those that never heard this before. Commonly, multiple systems are used to meet different requirements and needs of a business. But the advantage is that these systems hold their own data separately in their own different languages. The data divided by languages and the format makes it very difficult to share and understand it as a whole. In order to address this disadvantage, companies implement data integrations between the systems so that they can speak on common terms. The common data model addresses this issue with a revolutionary change. It starts off with building a standardized data set and create different functional apps to look at the same data with different lenses. Different systems can input into this data lake, and the data will be standardized so that it can be easily used by the apps. The pool of data will inevitably hold more than what a specific team or business unit will need, but it will unify the data that is commonly used between teams so that the data is concise, efficient, and less redundant. Using this common data model, two different types of apps can be created, a Canvas app and a model-driven app. Model-driven app will look like the current day unified interface of Dynamics 365. It will use lists, forms, advanced lines, editable grids, personal dashboards, business process flows, workflows, and many more components of D365 that you may already know. Model-driven apps are back-office process-driven. What this means is that it is more for the users that are at their desks in front of their computers. Canvas apps, which is what we're demoing today, are more for task-focused usage. So now imagine a salesperson that constantly calls leads to qualify or disqualify them. It'll be unnecessary for this user to find the desk to sit at, turn on their computers, to pull up a list of all the leads, and dial the contacts on their phones, which is not on their computers. To be efficient, a Power App can be built for the salesperson so that they will be able to pull up their list of leads on their phones, directly call them on their phone, and be able to click a button that says qualify or disqualify on the lead itself. And they don't even have to touch the computer. Isn't that so cool? So today, for that reason, we'll be focusing on the Canvas apps within the Power App platform. So now, talking about a quick overview of the advantages. So the advantages of using a Canvas app are many, but I'm only going to explain a few. It requires minimal coding to get a functional app up and running on the phone tablet interface. It is mostly drag and drop. You can add code if you desire. The Canvas app can pull data from 200 plus connectors, which I will show in the next slide. Different teams can have different task-based apps. This is very important aspect of building Canvas apps because companies that have different teams will need different apps. So imagine a company that has inspectors, but also an agent that approves. So for those two separate tasks, they'll be having two separate apps that they could run their daily tasks on. And so now, if you go to the next slide, you will see a brief overview of the connectors that are possible. I did not list 200 plus because that would have been too many things. but I picked up the ones that are probably going to catch your eye that we always use in our daily days. Such things like Planner, Slack, Jira, LinkedIn, Facebook, Microsoft Flow, all these different things we use outside of our systems as a supporting system. But imagine an app that can pull all these things into one app so that you do not have to constantly go from one app to another app to go through your daily throughout your daily work. So yeah, these are just a few. There are many more, and Hardeep is going to demo it. But that is just from my end an explanation of PowerApps. And so now it's over to Hardeep, our greatest developer, and she's about to provide a demo for you.
Thank you, Chris. Hello, everyone. My name is Hardeep, and now it's time to see everything Chris explained in action. I'll show you how easy it is to create a Power App to view your appointments from Dynamics 365 and then update them using your phone without any use of code. We'll start this with configuring a simple Power Apps. But as you already know, Power Apps can help you connect to various data sources. But for this demo, I'd like to show you the ability of Power Apps to connect to Dynamics 365. Sorry about that. So in order to configure a simple Power, you need to simply go to PowerApps.com. So we can just click on sign in, and it would ask you to sign in, and you can use your Office 365 credentials to log in. As I'm already signed in, it's just preparing the Power App configuration window for me. So in order to create an app, I am going to click on create. And as you can see on my screen, it has given me different options to configure the Power App. There are also different apps that are out of the box, which you can try and see what they provide. And for this specific demo, I'm going to go with Canvas app from blank. You can also use start from data. So when you use start from data, it would ask you to select the data source before configuring the actual app, and then it would prepare a template based on your data, the data source that you have selected. So for instance, if you select an entity from Dynamics 365, it would prepare a screen which will show the list of the records in CRM and a screen that you can use to add it to each row, and it would also create a screen to create a new record. But for this demo, I am going to go with Canvas app from blank. So and as soon as I clicked on that, it asked me to give a name for the app. And there are two formats that you can select from. One is a tablet, another one is a phone. For this demo, I'm going to go with a tablet format. And you can click on create to start creating the app. And it is getting things ready for us. So I'm just gonna skip that, and there's a new screen that gets added to your Power App. We cannot delete this screen, but we can add a new screen as we only have one screen at this time. And there's a theme that you could choose from. Power Apps out of the box provides a different themes that we can choose from. So I'll show you that afterwards, and you can insert different kind of labels, buttons. There are different type of text that you can use for Power Apps. There are different controls that you could use. There's a gallery. So gallery is used to display rows of the data source. You can also add a data table, and then it would ask you to connect to a data source. There's control for adding forms, that you can edit a form or display a form. So a display form would be a read-only form, and you can put the data source that you want to show and then display to your user. An edit form can help you edit the forms. And then there are different media controls. For example, images, you can add images, you can add camera, there's video, and all those things. And you can also add charts to Power App. There's an out-of-the-box icons. So as you can see, there's a long list of icons in Power App. You don't need to add your own icons because the basic ones are already here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a new screen. So you can select the screen from all the options that are provided here. There is a meeting, which is a very cool feature. There's a calendar view, that's a very cool feature as well. So I am going to add a scrollable screen. It's automatically going to add a scrollable screen, and as you can see, without any use of code, it automatically added a text field to give the title to our screen, and it also added another rectangle header to my screen. So if I go here and then if I want to change the title, it is very easy to change the title here. If we can just type in the text that we want to put, and then in the you can add anything here that you want, but for this demo we'll add a gallery. So as I have shown you that we can also change the theme of my app. So for now, these are all the lists that are provided out of the box by PowerApps. So I'm gonna go ahead with the Aqua theme. It automatically changes the theme of the app, and then I can just delete the out of the box screen that was provided to me. I can also change the name of the screen. I'm gonna name it appointments. So as I can see here, so now if I'd like to add a gallery to if I want to add a list of appointments pulling 365, I'm going to go ahead using the vertical gallery type. So I'm going to click on that, and you will see that it will automatically create a gallery for me with the data source custom gallery sample, which we will change to our own data source. So now as you can see, it automatically adds a subtitle and a title, and there's an image out of the box. As soon as I added a gallery, it creates an image and it adds a title and subtitle to my to each row in my gallery. So now in order to change the data source, I will need to go to view and data sources. It asks me to add a data source. Right now, as you can see, data source here, so I'll click on add new data source, and then we will need to click on new connection. As you can see, there are so many data sources that you can connect to in PowerApps, but for now I will just type in Dynamics 365 and then select Dynamics 365 data source. I would click create, and you will see that it will show me the list of instances that this environment have after this loads. I'll select Dynamics 365 CRM Dynamics Limited Sandbox. So I'll select that, and it will ask me to choose a table of my choice. So for this one, I will choose appointments. And I'll click on create. You'll see it will add a new data source to my Power App called appointments. So now I want to change my data source of this gallery to appointments. It is very simple to do that without the use of code. I'm just going to start typing in appointments. As soon as I typed appointments, it gives me options to select the data sources that are already in my Power App. So as you can see, it automatically changed the subtitle and title to the start time and the created on of the appointments. So I'll remove this to change this to subject. So if I want to change the title of my appointment to subject, it would pull in all the subjects of all the rows. If we need to add, so as you can see, it automatically added some of the fields, but if we want to add more, we will just go to insert. First of all, we'll need to click on first row of our gallery, and we will go to insert and select any control that we want to add, which would be added to all of the items in the gallery. So I'm going to add a label. As you can see, it added a label, and then it automatically pulls the start time. We can change it to whichever time we want. We can change it to end time if we want, or actual end. We can put anything that we would like. Now I am going to show you how we can edit these appointments. So I am going to go ahead and add a new same screen type, scrollable type, And then, as you can see, it copied the theme of the first screen that we added. So I'm just going to change the name of the screen here. So out of the box, you can see that there are many different properties that are provided for each of these types. You can just scroll to increase or decrease the size of this. You can change the color if you want to use another color. If you don't want to use out of the box themes, you can change the colors of this, and then for that you'll just need to go in here. So there's there's a way to, so you can change the colors here. Right now it's set as white. You can change the colors here if you don't want to use out of the box themes. So now as we want to edit the appointment that was selected in the first screen, so I am going to go to forms, go to insert, and then click on forms and add edit. So you'll see that it doesn't have any data right now because it doesn't know which data we want to pull into this edit form. So we will just say appointments. So as you can see, I have added data source appointment. So now we need to tell our Power App to this edit form to pull the data from the app that was from the item that was selected in the first gallery. That I need to go to advanced, and I'll do the item. So I will look up for the item that was selected in the first screen. So so Power App have its own functions. So the function that we are going to use here is the lookup function. I'm going to say appointments, and then tell a filter that the activity ID is equal to. So as you can see, it started giving me options to use. The first one is the best option to use here. That is the gallery one selected activity ID. So Power Apps automatically knows that you already have another data source which contains a list. So you probably want to use that one in here to edit the data. So I'm going to select that, and then I will turn this off. So close my brackets. So now you can see that it has. So we'll go back to the screen first. So now we need to tell our first screen to navigate to the screen second on click on this button. So as you can see, on if I click on this button and then navigate to the on select property of this button, you can see that it already has out of the box. It provides us to select the parent, which will select the row that we are selecting every time, and then I can just add another option here that would be navigation. So for navigate, Power App have its own function that's called navigate, and we just need to provide where do we need to go. So as I haven't changed the name of the second screen that I added, I can just use it. It provides me the two screens that I have in my Power App. I'm going to select the screen one, and then there is another parameter that goes in here in the navigate, that is transition. So you can select from all the transitions here, any one of the transitions here. The first one is cover right, fade, none, uncover. I'm going to just go ahead and do cover right, and then close my bracket. So now if I turn, so as I have selected this and I go here, you can see that I don't have any fields right now to add it. So I can add the fields from here. So I'm just going to add subject. It is very simple to add all the fields that we want to our Power App. And click add. You'll see it automatically adds all the fields that I have selected here. You can see that it has added all the fields that I selected here. It's very easy to add all these fields, and you can also move them up and down by just selecting here and then doing move down or move up to select any of the fields that we want. So now as you can see, I selected the first row in my gallery. It automatically pulls the data from there even though I haven't started my app. So now I am going to give it a command to submit this button. So how we can do that is just add another button in this form which would say, so we can change the text of this button. As right now, there are different properties. As I already said, there are many different properties that we could use here. So I'm going to go ahead and change the text of this to submit. So now we know that this button we'll use to submit our form that we are going to add it. But then we also need to tell it that what it should do when we click on this button. For on click, PowerApp has its own property that's called on select. Right now it says false. So we will just put another function here, a very simple function called submit form, and we will tell it to submit the form 1. We can also tell it to go to the previous window by just saying back. So now if I go back and see, I have added all my appointments here. I have my fields here. So actual start, actual end, and then there's start time, which I have also used in this one. So we'll change the start reflects in the gallery. So now I'll just go here. There's a button app. So you can see it has a start time as 12:19. I can change it to 21, click OK, and then click on submit. As soon as I click submit, it starts sending data to CRM and goes back. So as I change it to 21, it has changed the start date here. It is very simple to configure this small app. I can change anything that I want. I can add more fields or change more fields however I want. And then if you want to add, so if we can not only add fields here, we can also add some static data to our fields. For example, if I want my customers to see that this is the start time of the appointments, so I will just put in start time here, and then it would add the start time here. So this is very easy to configure. We can add any static data that we want. We can edit the forms. We can create the new appointments, which would be just simple as this is. So for that, we would just change the default mode here in the PowerApp to new, which would help us create the new form, and then rest would stay the same. We can also add more fields if we want, just by clicking on add. We don't need to drag and drop the fields. We can just move up and down the fields, and we can change the size of our form. We can move the submit button around. This would help us. This is so easier to do without any use of code. So as I have told you that there are other screens that are automatically provided by PowerApps. We can also use out of the box meeting functionality, meeting screen that we have. And we can also create the email. For now, I'm going to show you how this email screen works. So I'm just going to add the email screen to my PowerApp, taking a little time to add the screen. It automatically added this screen to send an email to people, which is very cool because we don't need to create any functionality in order to send email to people. So I'm just gonna go ahead and select play. I'm gonna select my email and then put any message here. And then just click on send. As you'll see that it will automatically erase everything, which means it has sent me an email and I'd get an email shortly. So that's how it works. There's also a calendar view which you could play around with. So that automatically gives us the calendar view of the user that's logged in. So this is very easier to, this apps, PowerApps are very easier to build. We don't need a lot of development knowledge to build this app. We have a lot of out of the box functionality functions that helps us sending data to this to different data sources, editing the data, and displaying it to the end user. So as you have all seen, it's very easy to build. You don't need development knowledge to build the PowerApp. So these kind of app usually would take developers to build a lot of months, and it would be it's difficult to make it compatible with different platforms. Whereas you can just download the PowerApp app from your app store and use your Office 365 credentials to sign in into PowerApps. You would need the basic 365 essential license and use PowerApps. So you can try building this PowerApps on your own, and if you have any questions, we would be very happy to help. Thank you for your time.